was speaking to a dear friend, or listening to a dear friend of mine this morning. We send each other WhatsApp voice messages, normally once a day or once every couple of days. And we were just talking about the fool. Um, and a fool is, and I'm paraphrasing now, so if he comes across this, this is my paraphrasing of what Rob was saying. You know, that a fool is someone who, um, well, we're talking about being open-hearted, that we just had some, bereavement in a family, and to allowing ourselves to be touched by that. We have to be touched by life. That's how we embed ourselves in life. We have to be touched by it. And it means being touched by the pleasant and the unpleasant. The pleasant and the unpleasant. I'm going to repeat it. Because we don't want the unpleasant. We don't want the broken heart. But a broken heart means that you've loved. And if you're not willing to risk a broken heart, you will never know what love is. Do you want a life like that? Do you want a life where you don't know what love is? Take the risk. Anyway, let me get back to the fool. And this is the fool in the tarot. I do occasionally, again with myself, read the tarots. You can see the figure there. The tarots are great just for sort of, anyway, that's another story. And the fool, as you see, is standing on he or she is standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to walk off the cliff, but they're not even looking where they're going. They're looking up to heaven. And there's the fool is kind of carefree. A fool doesn't worry about the things most of us worry about. They don't take things personally. It's related to the Joker. Hello, Jan. The fool is related to the Joker. And what's the Joker in a pack of cards? It's left on the side. It's like, not sure, a wild card. That's why Joker's so popular in the Batman movies. The most popular one, Joker. Because unpredictable. Anyway, let's go back to the fool. So the fool is someone who's free of everyday concerns. Good morning, Karen. And what's the opposite of of a fool who is open-hearted? And for me, it's someone like a cynic. And we can all be cynical. I can be cynical sometimes, and I don't like it. It makes me, yeah. And if you look at the figure again, there's a dog there. The fool is in touch with his or her natural instincts. Hello, Michelle. So what they trust in is not their storytelling mind, the problematic mind that sees problems everywhere, sees risks everywhere. They trust in their instincts. That's why they're carefree. Hugs to you, Rosella. That's why they're happy, because they trust in their true nature, or their instincts. They're intuitive. And I come across I remember a story. I was 17 years old, and I was working at, wait for it, Monsanto Chemical Works. I used to work at Monsanto when I was 17 in 1977. Nearly 60. I know you wouldn't think I was nearly 60, obviously, but you're probably thinking, oh, mid to late 40s. Now that is a fool. But anyway, let's come back to, and I got told a story in this guy. He's one of my mentors there when I was an apprentice. He says there was this farmer, a cynical farmer, but not a nice not a nice chap. But he had this, you wish, yeah, I know, again, I know. And yeah, there's this farmer, and there was a young so-called village idiot or farm idiot working for him. He just carefree. He would walk off the cliff and trust that heaven would, the universe would support him. And the farmer liked to show how much of an idiot this guy was, and the farmer had some friends round once. He said, "Watch this. Watch how stupid he is." So says, "Billy, here." So Billy comes trotting over, smile on his face, happy, just cleaning out the pig shit, just cleaning it all out. And he says, "Come here." He says, "What?" He says to his friends, "Watch, watch." So he says, "Look, 50p, 10p." Shows Billy which hand they're in, closes his hand, says, "Which one would you like, Billy?" And Billy looks at them. Says, "That one, 10p." And he does this every time. And the farmer goes over to, and one of the farmer's friends goes over to the young boy and says, "Look, the farmer's sort of wondering what the hell's going on. We wondering what the hell's going on. You saw that he put 50p in there and 10p in there. And you went for the 10p. Why? It doesn't make sense." And the young Billy said, "Well, if I went for the 50p, it wouldn't do the trick anymore." That's the fool. They see things in a different way. That's what they do. And a cynic, I'm not sure quite the cynic is quite the opposite, but is one who sort of forever throwing it out there. It's the world the fault. The world we take things personally. We worry. And just on this, and this is related to meditation, by the way, and I'm going to draw the connection. There's a flower in his hand here, or this side, flower in his hand. Now, what does that? What does that mean for you? See, the tarots are not open to interpretation as such. What they do, they activate something in you. So I look at that and I think, what's that? The fool. Purity? There's something pure about a fool, this type of fool. There's an innocence. That's what there's an innocence to a fool, my friend Rob was pointing to. Like our two dogs, there's an innocence to them. That's why we love them. We love innocence. We're attracted to it. And maybe afraid of it too. So I just want to say a little bit more about the fool. The fool, like a hobo, carries all his possessions in a little sack. All his worldly possessions there. Often dressed in bright colours. Yeah, I think I've covered most of it anyway. So the fool is open to life. Don't look in the dictionary, by the way, for the meaning of fool. It's not a very nice one. Which is interesting. We should have the fool's dictionary. Quite different meanings to things. So what prevents us from being fool-like? Not foolish, but fool-like. See, the fool doesn't live in the head because they trust their instincts. They live in the now, they live in the body, they live in their true nature, in their wisdom, innate wisdom. That's what guides them. That's why they're unconcerned, because they know the universe is gonna, that they'll do what needs doing. There's a deep trust. So what happens to us? We don't follow or we're not so in touch with our natural instincts, with our intuition. So because we're not, we need to think to stay safe. Yeah, so all the thinking is like that. What can go wrong? Risk, risk, risk. Everything's a risk. And it takes the joy away. It's crap. It's absolute crap. It just snatches your joy. So most of us spend our lives doing that, and then we die. Sorry, but well, not sorry. It's the way it's the way it is. So let's just have a 4 or 5 minutes of sitting and noticing what takes us away from being open and fool-like. And there's only one thing. And there's only one thing, but only 100% of the time. Thoughts, stories. When you're notice when you're next suffering or in distress, what's going on? Two things. Well, one thing, you're lost in your thoughts in a story, but also within that story is an image of you in that story. And it's just an image in their head. It's not even you. Hello, Laura. It's not even you. And it might be an image of another person, a work colleague. So there's image going on in the head and thoughts, and that's all that's happening. But it's become so real. It's really happening. It isn't. What's really happening is the sound of the wind now. That's what the fool would feel. The fool would just feel the wind. If it gets cold, just put a jacket on. And also, the fool, I said we're going to meditate, but I'm sort of on one. The fool doesn't put people down to feel good. Now, just reflect for a moment. Who do we put down in our life for us to elevate ourselves? We put other people down so that we feel elevated. Workplaces are interesting. So notice in your life, because we want to know how to move to be more fool-like. Maybe they do feel intimidated. Because they're unpredictable. If you joined us early, Michelle, the fool is related to the Joker, like the Batman character, and with the Joker. We don't know the wild card. They're unpredictable. And they often reflect something back. Our lack of being a fool like. Anyway. So notice in your life who and when you put people down. Oh, there I go. And notice how it's you're trying to elevate yourself, but it doesn't feel very nice. If you really pay attention to it, there's a contraction. Okay, just sit quietly. You can open your eyes, rest your gaze on the floor, or um, and close your eyes. And you sense this natural openness. Don't think about it. You can't think yourself to openness. Thinking happens within the openness. Thinking is just one function, along with hearing, seeing, feeling. So just being with this natural openness, just feel the body, its senses, it's effortless. And then notice how your world shrinks. And we get into whinging and whining. And when you notice that this image of yourself and this other person or whatever the situation, that's all that's happening. There's an image in your head. You're imagining. It's all that's happening. And you take it to be real. Ah, come back to what's real. Come back to the breath, back to the body. All suffering is imagination. It's imagined. I'm not talking about pain. Pain is real. Suffering is imagined. Imagine, image in the head. Notice it. Feel the contraction of the body. Come back to the natural openness. Okay, so just that's about it. I didn't ask you to share it, did I? Which is a shame. But never mind. I forget. You have to see this. You have to see what goes on. I'm just seeing it more than I used to. Like, shit. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Where's the lion now? Where's the tiger chasing you now? It's in your head. It's imagined. We take this brilliant tool, the thinking mind, the ability to reason, the ability to imagine. At some point, somebody imagined an aeroplane, so we can fly. Thanks, Mario. It does. You just need to start seeing this, guys. You think, well, I don't know. You just think, for goodness sake, why didn't somebody tell me this? You'd be walking down the street, I'm just sitting here. And you're looking at the flies and the butterflies and the bees and everything else. And then you're imagining a war. You're imagining an argument. Most of them that you'd never had. And most of the ones that, and if we're remembering one, that the memory isn't even true. It's partial. So you're bringing this made up, because science has proved it, our memories are sort of fabricated. It's not the actual event. The event's gone. But even the memory of that event is very flimsy. We've added things and taken things away, and we don't realize it. Every time you remember something, it's slightly different. And so we live in the past there, and we live in the future. So we suffer from too much past and too much future. It's all imagined. I know you don't believe me. You don't have to. Just find out for yourself. What did the Buddha say? The truth will set you free. It's the truth. I don't mean what I'm saying is the truth, but the truth. And what we're doing here, we're not relying on somebody else's evidence. You're not relying on my word. You have to have a look yourself. It's a fact-finding mission. That's what it is. Forget what the books say. There can be a good starting point, a good guide, a good book. I read some of Joe Cobeck's. I have a few books I read, so I'm a bit bored with them nowadays. But what's happening now? This stress, this suffering is only happening in one place, the head. You have to see it. And we're like glue. We glue to it. In pops the thought, boom, we glue to it. It's absolutely bonkers. When you see it, it's I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what to say. it's just so unnecessary. Yeah, crying is good. You should be crying, Carol. You're waking up. Keep crying. What's happening in your head is nothing, guys. It is nothing. It's just stories. They're crying out loud, and I'm talking to myself here. It's like, what on earth? I felt it. Need keeping to room. Yeah, you do. That's all you come here for, is to be reminded. I talk to my own teacher to be reminded. That's all he's doing. We already know this. The wisdom's there, the instinct's there, the intuition's there, but we don't trust it. So we have to think. And then the argument that I had, or the argument that I never had, and off we go. But if I have one, this is what I'm going to say. And then there's a little image in your head of you and the image of some other person. And on every course, on every retreat, every session, this is all up. This is what This is what I'm doing. Just pointing to this in slightly different ways. And some people it touches and some it doesn't. But you have to see it. And like Carol, it'll bring tears to your eyes. To see it's like, Jesus, what a waste. What an utter and absolute waste. So stop it. Laura, you're welcome. Anyway, I think that'll do us, guys. I've got a Zoom call at 11. Yeah. And we're doing Monday evenings, guys, once a month, and Saturday morning meditations once a month. Come and join us. There's a link there, so the by donation. So anyway, keep seeing the imagination. Thank you, Carol. Bye, guys.